Hello and welcome to Nerds at Large Spoilercast for Life is Strange Before the Storm, Episode 3. That's a mouthful every time we have one of these spoilercasts. A lot to say. I'm one of your hosts, Darby Holland.
I am Jeff now.
And Jeff, we're finally getting around to this. This has probably been about the most late we've been on any spoilercast or something we've done.
No, I'm going to go episode 2.
I'm just saying this whole thing in general. That we're
Yeah.
finally wrapping up Before the Storm. Which when did this come out? Episode 3? It was like
December.
December. Yeah, whatever. We're busy people.
Yeah. We'll get to the farewell episode quicker.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Do we want to do a spoiler cast thing for that? I guess we'll wait and see how meaty it is. We'll wait and see like what exactly it is before we do it. Or we might just talk about it on the Nerds at Large Gaming podcast, which hey, you should listen to.
Maybe that's the main topic, depending.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see how we feel. But for right now, Jeff, Before the Storm, we have finished it. It is completely wrapped up, all 3 episodes of it. How do you feel about it, Jeffrey?
Obviously, I like it. I put it in my top 10 after finishing it.
You did. What was it again? What number? It was like 6th or something?
7-ish, somewhere in there.
Something around
6,
that.
7, 8, one of those.
Yeah. I also really, really enjoyed it. Most of everything I said in the previous 2 spoilercast for this, I pretty much still feel now. That Chloe the whole way through was a very interesting protagonist, and one that I was worried about obviously going into it. Like she just seemed like the quintessential, like she was awesome as a side character, like that was the foil for Max basically. But it worked really well, and like she didn't feel like Max, like she felt like a completely different character in this or whatever. And you really actually like cared about her a lot by the end of it. I mean, and even when I think this episode, just like the other ones, I think sometimes Life is Strange, the writing isn't always like the best. Like sometimes it gets very cheesy in a bad way at times or whatever. But it kind of, I don't know. It's one of these. I'll make more apologies, or like I have a headache. I can't think of
Halfway or whatever.
Huh?
Or meet halfway, I don't know.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Like, I'll apologize for Life is Strange more than other games just because it's just so charming. Mm-hmm. And the characters are just so great.
Plus they're teenagers, come on.
I mean,
everything's cheesy.
We've been over that over and over again. And I thought that this episode kind of ramped up the tension and emotional stakes kind of in the same way that the end of the original Life is Strange did. Obviously, it didn't get, well, I don't know. It arguably got as crazy, but maybe not. No one was being...
No.
Maybe not quite as crazy.
No. I mean, did anyone expect it to get that crazy?
No.
Let me put it this way. No one wanted it to get that crazy.
No, I didn't either. But I think it did. I mean, at least... It took it places I didn't expect it to, at least, and I couldn't have predicted the whole way. And I think the biggest things was just, obviously, this episode kind of shifted the focus a lot onto the issue with Sarah, Rachel's real mom, like after that, the kind of twist at the end of last episode. Mm-hmm. That was most of what this was. Like, someone pointed out online, like, you weren't at Blackwell like at all in this episode, which is very interesting. It didn't have to do with like the school much at all. You were kind of like that. Yeah, that was a hospital you were at. That was not the
you don't go there at all.
Yeah, so that's interesting that it kind of just veered off into this path. But I think it worked pretty well. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, you did go there during the ending scene, at least in mine.
Yeah.
I imagine it was yours too.
Yeah. Well, Jeff, do you have any like overarching feelings about this? Did this get you in the feels like it did me? Because this episode definitely, I feel like probably the most out of the 3 definitely did get me.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Dari's got a headache and I'm tired. So.
Well,
I blame Kingdom Hearts.
Do I?
I blame Kingdom Hearts when you be tired.
Jeff was up till like 4 a.m. Watching Kingdom Hearts trailers. Well, Jeff,
I'm a dork.
You want to just go through
Yep.
the episode. Let's start right at the beginning. Rachel's dad is telling you about what the real story was behind Rachel's.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I guess since we haven't said it straight out yet, I don't think we have full spoilers for
Oh yeah, you just
pretty much all of Life is Strange at this point.
yeah, we already spoiled several things, but if you clicked on this, yeah, full spoilers, everything, fair game. Yeah. So started out with this. I like the way they did it with the, he's telling you whatever, but then everything just goes to black, and it does this metaphorical like representation of it, and I think that was like really well done. It's something that like I don't feel like the original Life is Strange did that kind of thing very much, or maybe a little bit.
I think they did a little bit, not exactly the exact same thing, but they did that kind of thing.
But it was a very like cinematic thing. It almost felt like a movie, and I like really liked the way that they told that, and I thought it made it really interesting because it could have just been screaming and hollering back and forth, or like hearing this whole thing. That was a very interesting way of showing it like that. Obviously, it's pretty. It's a pretty crazy story to keep that information from your daughter her whole life.
Yeah. Like, it's one of the things that went through my head. I guess we don't know what they told Rachel, but it's also like, when Rachel's dad, what's his name? I don't know, James, and I can't remember the. I guess Rachel's stepmom's name. Like, what does he tell him about like when they got married and everything, and how that passed through my mind? It's like, okay, because I guess we technically don't know when in Rachel's life they got married, or they could have told her wrong about when they married. Like, said they were married for longer than they actually were.
Yeah, did they ever say when they actually got married? Was it like
I know the mom mentioned the year, like how long they've been married at some point.
Yeah, she definitely when you're married for 13 years or something,
or like 15 years, like about. Yeah, something like it was either Rachel, something that was younger, less years than what Rachel is. So it's kind of like, okay, since it's out, she say the real number then have been telling Rachel a longer thing, or did they like, okay, they got pregnant out of wedlock, and
they could have just told Rachel that they weren't married when they had her, and I feel
like that's the most obvious thing, or more likely thing, because since he's was elected, that's one of those things that would probably come up as a scandal. Be like, hey, he's lying about how long he's been married. That's sketchy.
Right. Yeah.
Or we're thinking too much into this.
Yeah, I mean, but it also crossed my mind that I thought, I mean, and maybe this is just coming from someone who knows so much of my family, so like it's a different story, but it does seem like it would be like it seems like that would be kind of a hard thing to fake. It's like, oh yeah, I had you. Oh, we don't have any baby pictures of like me in the hospital or anything with you or anything like that. But don't you worry. It's like, it seems like that would be a hard thing to. And
especially then everyone has to be in on the light.
If you have any family members around, everyone has to be in on it. Which maybe there's just not other family members in the picture. I mean, it could be explained that way. I guess it would have been nice if they had tackled that in some way, but. I guess it's one of those things. I mean, it's not like out of the realm of possibility. Like, I know people who don't have any contact with any family members or don't have any, like, they just have a much smaller family or whatever. So, I mean, it's not completely out of the realm of possibility, but it was like, I was like, that had to take some effort to keep that kind of lie going. Yeah. So, I mean, potential. I mean, I don't really think that's that much of a plot issue. It's not that.
That's just one of those things you simply change like one little thing, small thing, and it's fixed. Like,
and it's one of those like maybe a line of dialogue would be nice if they were like, oh yeah, this is the only family she has. I mean, I guess maybe they did say stuff like that. And I just didn't. But might not have caught that.
Just crossed my mind.
That's true. That is true. Well. After that, like, whenever you talked to James, like, after that, did you start to, like, feel differently about him, or were you still, like, suspicious and still, like, what was your feeling about him then? Because I'm interested in that. Because it started to shift for me, because I'm like, okay, well, maybe he's not a complete douche.
I think I was like that. I'm trouble remembering.
Yeah, I guess it's been a little longer for you.
Yeah, exactly how I guess it's been about a month or something for me.
I remember after like Rachel storms upstairs or whatever, you talk to him and he just kind of seems defeated about it. He's just like, I was just trying to protect her or whatever. I was doing this, that, and everything before. Like, I feel like Life is Strange in general, but especially Before the Storm, does a very good job of like setting someone up in like from the eyes of the teenagers who are like viewing them this way as this horrible monster human being doing all of this, and then kind of pulling the curtain back and being like, okay, well, like this is the actual situation, and like, you know, it explains his actions a little bit more. Obviously later his actions are terrible again, but at least for that moment in there, I kind of like how they play with your emotions and your views of the adults of Life is Strange. I feel like that's always, there's always like the kids and then the adults in Life is Strange, and the adults are always like the villains until they're not, and then are again in some cases, but yeah. Or like in the original Life is Strange, the photography teacher, who he was like seemed like the good guy until he really wasn't, and
then it turns out he told you like the first time you saw him.
Yeah, you play it back. Also, like immediately after playing this, I kind of wanted to play Life is Strange again, just because I feel like it's like, you know, these characters so much. It's so weird to think back to.
I feel like you think about Chloe differently. The whole thing with Rachel.
Or it's so weird to think back when you originally played Life is Strange. You just saw all of these signs for Rachel Amber's missing. Rachel Amber's missing. You're like, okay, that's just the name. I don't really know. And then now it's like, oh crap.
I actually cared. I definitely feel like that's something I'm going to do at some point. Replaying that.
This definitely makes me want to, which is probably a good sign for a prequel story to make you want to. I guess moving on, I think one of the strongest scenes in Life is Strange in general was that in the their bedroom or whatever, when you like you create the little star thing or whatever, and then you talk to her. I just think that the acting between whoever does both Chloe and Rachel is really, really well done.
I agree.
Whereas, I don't know about you, but I think that I think the voice acting in a lot of the other characters are not that well done. I mean, I still like them a lot. I like the characters and the writing and stuff, but I like
voice acting for anyone who's not the main people could be a little hit or miss.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't stand out like they do.
Well, I agree. But look at it this way. At least the main characters are the strong, strong throughout.
Yeah, if you want, if there's gonna be the strong ones and then the weak links, you'd want the strong ones to be the story.
It's still not the biggest budget game, so it kind of makes sense.
Also, it's like a very minor thing, but I do feel like the audio sometimes it almost sounded like they were speaking into microphones. Like I it just sounded like I heard like feedback from it. It was just like the way they talked. I don't know, it was weird, but that's just like a small nitpicky thing.
I don't know. It might be one of those things. Think that in mind, I might notice it. I don't know.
Yeah, I should look and see if other people have noticed it or whatever. And then obviously Chloe goes back. Chloe
sneaks back into her bedroom.
Sneaks back into her bedroom through the window, which I'm like, Chloe, you come home at like 3 a.m. or the next morning every single night. I don't know why this is any different. I don't know why you have to sneak into the window, but
it's tradition.
So you literally do this like almost every single day in this game was your mom being like, please come home, Chloe, come home, Chloe, come home. She's like, nah.
I miss you, I need you. Just like, okay, I'll think about it.
Well, okay, but I guess that's just Chloe's thing. She has to sneak in the window. That's just to be cool.
She honestly doesn't know there's a door. She thinks the window's the door. She thinks that's what...
We've had a door this whole time?
Yeah, that's what seeing David and Joyce does. They go through her room for the window.
Really inconvenient structure to this house.
She's meaning to discuss with Joyce about this.
What are we gonna do when we're older? You can't climb on the roof.
Escalators.
There you go. There you go. How would you feel about David and the freaking Joyce in this? I kind of, for some reason I didn't expect the proposal thing, but I guess, were they married in Life is Strange?
Yeah.
Okay, I kind of forgot that they were married. I thought they were still dating.
Yeah, because they're calling him step douche.
That's right. It's been a while. It's been a while, so I kind of forgot about that.
Oh yeah, they were married.
Okay. So that at first I was like, wait, what? But yeah, that makes sense. This is another one of those. I think me and you both have said, even back when we were playing the original Life is Strange, I really like Joyce as a character for some reason so much. You kind of have a lot of sympathy for her.
Yeah, like nothing she does is really mean or bad or anything. She's trying to do her best for her kid, and she wants to try to make herself happy with David and everything. Not like David, like he seems like a douche, but we know probably from playing this and the original Life is Strange, he's not a bad guy or anything.
No, I mean, like, he's just very, like, and we've all, like, seen the people where he's just, like, super traditional and super, like, authoritarian type of, but he's means well.
Yeah.
And, Joyce, I think we've all seen people where it's, like, we don't like the person they're with, but they're happy, and when it's someone you, like, care about, you kind of have to accept that for them or whatever, and I think that's a pretty strong thing, and to have to see Chloe, such a rebellious teen, like, tackle with that, and you, like, feel the same emotions, and when you see her happy or whatever, even though you're, like, made up to hate David, you just kind of, you're still happy for her, and I feel like they land that pretty well.
Yeah, so obviously you took the photo, right?
Yeah, I did. Okay. I did.
Good.
I don't really know I don't really know if anything happens if you don't, but...
I actually do know, like, what happens. I think the outcome of that, like, it's obviously if you don't take the photo, there's probably a little more argument between them. But at the end, during the end credits, when he proposes or whatever, when Chloe walks up, it's if you do take the photo, they hug, like, she joins in the group hug. I mean, not like enthusiastically, but she joins in.
Yep.
And if she doesn't, I kind of looked this stuff up because I was just curious. She kind of just flips him off when she walks in.
Yikes!
Something to that effect. Like she just doesn't care or not happy about it.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that. No.
Yeah.
That's well. I'm glad. I feel better than I got. I got.
Like I think about all these choices. This is, but I mean, I think we normally went with the popular choice for a lot of this stuff or the popular things.
Yeah.
This was by far like the most popular one. It's like 90% or something.
For taking the photo. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Because, I mean, I think with this one, I was almost always like, in the popular one. But with things like that, it's like, okay, are you going to be an awful person? Or are you going to be a better person? It's like...
I mean, again, I feel like it's one of those things that... because we played the original Life is Strange, it affects like our choices because we know David's a good guy.
Yeah, we know he's not quite as bad as... Yeah. Well, and that's another one, like, I feel like so much of, like, the way you view certain characters, it's because you're kind of viewing them through the eyes of Chloe. And, like, through the eyes of Chloe, David is like a Satan spawn, basically. And it makes sense that way. So, yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
We didn't get much of Joyce and David this episode, so I'm glad there was at least that kind of like end cap on it because this was a lot more focused.
Yeah. Now I'm trying to remember how exactly they start off in the original Life is Strange. I know that's kind of bad. That's one thing that potentially like sours me on this because it's like we made it so it makes it look happy, but then it goes to Life is Strange and they're kind of like on the.
It's kind of the same thing again.
Yeah, they're on bad terms. I mean, you could argue that something happens in between that we don't know about, but...
And I mean, you could argue that even in the scene where they hug or whatever, I mean, Chloe's not happy. She's just kind of like, okay, like, just accept it or whatever, which, I mean, Chloe's never going to stop being rebellious. That's never going to happen.
That's one of those things, it's like, not taking the photos, the canon ending.
Yeah, probably. But... I would like to go play the beginning of Life is Strange to see if it still makes sense or see if it like adds up completely. But let's just like quickly move on through Junkyard. You fix up the truck, whatever.
Do all that kind of thing.
Yeah, do all that stuff. And what's the next thing that happens?
Rachel kind of shows up.
Okay, that's one that. Okay, so I thought that was also I think they do Rachel very well of just. She's the good student, but she's also, like, kind of depressed and kind of, like, doesn't know who she is or whatever, and very abrasive and irrational and stuff. And, like, I thought her, like, going and hitting him with the thing and doing all that, I thought that entire interaction made sense. And it was definitely kind of suspenseful with, like, it was like, no, Rachel, you idiot, what are you doing?
No. And then Damon stabs her.
Huh?
Then Damon stabs her.
Yeah, because David's not a nice dude. There's always in Life is Strange. There's always like the one dude that's just like unredeemably bad. Like I guess it was the photography dude last time, and now it's David this time. Then you go to the hospital. Another what I think is one of the strongest scenes in all of Life is Strange was her rushing her to the hospital, and then that for some reason that montage of. All the people going through, and it's obviously she's been there for so long, she's restless, sitting there in the hospital waiting room. I thought that was really well done because, like, obviously, I don't think any of us have had a friend be stabbed by a gang member or whatever he was.
Well, at least we haven't.
Or a drug deal. I think like me and you have not. But a lot of us have been in some situation where someone we love, something has gone to the point, and suddenly like you're in a hospital room or something, like suddenly like everything gets real like that, and that hopeless feeling of sitting there, whatever. I've experienced that in some ways, and ways that I'm not going to say here, but and that's a scary feeling, and I think that montage did a very good job of capturing just the hopelessness of that, and it was really well done. Like it was another thing that felt cinematic. It felt like a movie. I was watching. I was like, damn, this is really, really good.
I liked the conversation between James and Chloe. Yeah. When they first get there.
That was also really good writing, yeah.
Yeah. James would be like, I don't blame you, just tell me what happened.
And that felt like something when we were dumb kids. I mean, you were a very good kid. I mean, I was a good kid too, but you did a lot less dumb things than I did. But that felt like when you were doing dumb things as a kid and it goes too far or whatever. And that conversation with him did feel like you're a scared little kid talking to an adult, basically. And that did work very well too. I didn't like a lot of James's writing in this, but I did like that scene a lot. Like I felt like sometimes he was a little, I don't know, one-dimensional, or just the writing was just kind of weird.
I hear you. I don't know if I put in the words, but I hear you.
Yeah.
Like I think it's not this episode. I know we kind of didn't feel, if I'm right, feel too great about when we first talked with him in the house in the last episode when he was just like, I don't know, generically just kind of a hard ass or whatever.
Yeah.
Like dad kind of just looking down.
Kind of the same thing with like both of Rachel's parents overall I don't exactly care for as far as writing, but there are a few moments and that was definitely one of them. Yes.
So obviously we visited Drew.
Yeah. I didn't even know you could I guess you could just like walk on by, but I saw that people were like, did you visit Drew? And I was like, oh, I didn't even think about that being like something you couldn't do.
Yeah.
One thing I'm very mad about though is I saw on the thing you could play tabletop with Mikey. Like that was an actual thing you could do, and it said 0% of people had done it. Like, how do you do that? I wanted to play Dungeons and Dragons again.
I saw like a trailer / picture thing at some point. I am pretty sure Mikey had to be the one in the hospital bed. And less people did that in general, and then the people who did have Mikey in the bed, the people who walked on by, and then people who didn't trigger that for some reason.
So it literally said 0%.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, man, but kind of makes sense.
So they designed an entire another Dungeons and Dragons thing that like no one saw.
Yeah.
That kind of sucks.
Or it could be some people saw, but it's not close enough to 1% to trigger, like said 1%.
Yeah.
Like it's.
I'm sure it's not. I'm sure it's not
that
literally no one has done it, but it's probably a very, very, very small amount of people. Yeah. Which is kind of disappointing because I think we were all kind of hoping that after that first episode that we were going to do that again. And when we walked into the hospital room and they were playing, I was like, oh shit, I'm going to be able to play D&D before.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it has to be with Mikey in the hospital bed, because if it was, we could do it there. Someone would have done it.
Yeah.
Because Drew being in the bed is the popular choice.
Right.
No, I didn't fight over the pudding.
I didn't either. I didn't really know.
I was like, he's hurt or whatever, and it's not like he wants to be alone, so let's just leave him be.
I looked at the pudding, but I didn't even know there was an option to fight over it and take it, so I wouldn't have done it either. I'm not going to take the man in the hospital's pudding.
Yeah. It was good-looking pudding, but...
I mean... it's a rough world out there. You got to fight for your pudding, man. Alright, so, moving on. You go see Rachel. I can't remember exactly what happens, but I know you talked to Rachel about everything, and then eventually she's like, you end up leaving to go see Sarah. Was there anything substantial there between those?
She was just, trying to convince you, like, she still wants to, find out about her mom. Right. So, you just, she convinced you to go to her dad's office. Yeah. Gives you the little code.
Which... I thought that whole sequence, like, I think one of my biggest complaints about Before the Storm so far has been these type of sections of the game where you like the more puzzly section. I mean, where you had to interact and do these things. I feel like they have not been all that strong in Before the Storm. I feel like sometimes they've been tedious. Like the biggest example was like in the junkyard, like last episode, like finding the different things and doing stuff like that. Or the junkyard wasn't as bad, but last episode, especially when you were like setting the table in the Amber's house and doing all this stuff, I was just kind of like, what's the point?
Here's the thing with wrestling, and I'm not gonna necessarily pick on Life is Strange before this work for this. I just these kind of games in general with that kind of stuff. It's pretty much just click until something happens. Especially with the room trying to find the clues. It's like just click on anything that has a thing for most part. I mean, unless there's something like if you trigger one thing, you can't do another thing, but that's usually not the case.
No, yeah, usually not. And I feel like those type of situations, like I think it's just these adventure games or walking simulators or whatever you want to call them, are always limited. Just in those sections are never going to be like the most gameplay fun sections, but I do like at least that this one, what I was finding out was actually interesting to me. Like whenever you were figuring out all these things and reading and like figuring out what the James was actually doing and like talking to Damon about and acting like you're the DA, it was cool.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like the last episodes, some of those things took equally as much time and gave me no story. So I'm glad they at least put story into this.
Hey, at least with the junkyard find stuff for the truck, at least they were variety. And I had the best stuff.
Yeah, I mean it's better than putting dinner plates on a table. I have to do that enough in my own life. I don't need to do that in a video game. Yeah. But I thought the whole section that was cool. It was another one of those where I'm like, Chloe, you are committing a very bad crime, and you're doing it without even like much thought.
Yeah,
it's like Chloe's hard.
Yeah, we got to tell Damon who the snitch was.
Yeah. What was there any? That was the one of the only things we did differently. I blamed Sheldon, I believe, and you blamed Gerald. Was there any like particular interesting reason?
I thought I found a file with his name on it, so I thought it was him. Like, I saw a file, I might have misunderstood it. She was like, oh, it must be Gerald. I was like, okay.
Well, was there any indication that Gerald actually was the guy for you? Or was there... I mean, because the only thing... I blame Sheldon, and then I found the, like, phone when I got to the end place, and it was Sheldon saying, I swear I didn't snatch out. Who told you that? They didn't, whatever. And
I think it said the same thing. Like, I did the same thing. I found Gerald's phone, and it said the same thing.
So it probably really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I feel
unless we both picked the wrong one.
Yeah, and I'll get fixed up. It might. What was I gonna say? I found like Cheryl and Sheldon. They both had things where she's like, I don't know, this is suspicious for both of them. So I just kind of.
I may have missed the Sheldon thing.
Yeah, I mean Sheldon. He was like, it said like Sheldon was cooperating with us or whatever on the police report, and she's like, oh, cooperating with us. That might not be, whatever.
I think it's the same thing for me or Gerald.
Yeah, it was similar.
Or whoever I found. Yeah,
very similar. I'm gonna fix that. You continue on.
Okay, next thing we have Elliot the Stalker showing up, being like, "Yo, what are you doing here, breaking into this house?" And then I was thinking, "What are you doing, following me, breaking into this house?"
Yeah. I'm interested. Hold on. I'm interested to see what you think, because don't get me wrong, I love all of this. This entire episode and this entire like game was really good. I think he was like the weakest part.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like he was a very unrealistic character. Like I know they're going for the weird stalker thing or whatever, but he was just kind of stereotypical crazy stalker dude. And just like entitled guy who thinks just because he spends time or just because he tries to do things for a girl, the girl should immediately want him.
Yeah.
That kind of guy. We know those people, but I feel like he was just such a like uninteresting version of that. Mm-hmm. And he was kind of only there to cause suspense and problems.
I agree, because when you really think, I mean, and correct me if I'm forgetting something, he didn't really have any impact on the overall story.
No, all right.
Yeah. The main thing he was like, make Chloe potentially think about, man, Rachel's using you, blah, blah, blah. If she ain't real, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, that didn't really change anything Chloe thought, at least.
No, and it wasn't very compelling either. Yeah. It was just kind of like, okay. Cool I don't think anyone was like, after that interaction, he was like, you know what? Elliot's right. Screw Rachel. I don't think anyone said that.
Then you just leave and the game is there. You walk with holding hands with Ellie into the sunset.
Okay.
Worst ending.
I hope that's not even a possible ending. Yeah, I just feel like they could have found a more elegant way of, or I don't even, yeah, what did he really even do? I mean, like, I guess he made you, I mean, would that entire situation have been any different if he wasn't there? Like,
no, you still got all the money.
Yeah.
They didn't change anything.
In fact, it just made it even weirder. Kind of like you threw the window through the brick through the window, and the alarm went off, right? Or whatever. Like, shouldn't the Ambers know now that someone was in their house? Like when you talk to them later, they don't seem like they're like concerned about like, I don't know. It was a little weird. I thought there was going to be some ramifications about that. It was like, oh, James knows that someone was in his office now. Like I thought that was going to come into play later, and it just
even for the whole thing, he didn't change anything with the play. Like you have to go see him. What became of that?
Nothing. I mean, I think it seems to me like there was probably originally some other plan for him that got scrapped, and this was kind of just a remnants of him because he wasn't built up that much either. Like literally, we could not remember his name when we were doing this, and we went in like the Life is Strange Wikipedia, and we had to like dig down 5 pages deep to even find his freaking name. So,
just curious. How did you do with the whole calling the police thing? I failed.
Oh, I failed the first time. I
got like 1 or 2 in or something, and I was like, dang it.
I was not.
It's very stressful when that stuff when. You fail one time and the other person wins the talkback.
Oh yeah, it's really annoying. I think that might have been the only talkback I've lost actually. I think
it was that and skips or whatever.
Yeah, I think this was the first one I lost, but I lost it literally immediately because I think I missed some of the lines before it. But I think I missed what was said, and I was unclear about like what I was actually doing. When I clicked it, I'm like, oh.
Oh yeah, I remember having an update for Skip. At some point or whatever, I think when you were in the junkyard fixing the truck, you had the radio on or something. It was a radio interview with Skip, and he was talking about how he quit his job and he's focusing all on the band. It's like, I'm okay, we're failing now.
Oh, that's him. Okay, like I saw the thing.
I might be getting his name wrong. The security guard dude.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I remember seeing something where she was like, "Oh, so and so's in a band. That's cool," but I didn't catch that it was him. I didn't put that together. Okay. Cool.
He's following his dream.
Yeah.
I'm okay with this now.
Quit your job, join the metal band. That's the story behind Life is Strange.
Yep.
All right. Well, I guess just the ending. This is what mostly leaves. Like you go into the mill, right?
Yeah. Well, I'll just say we can talk about her going to the mill, like actually driving there and all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm just talking about the whole thing in general. Yeah. So I mean. You drive. Is that when she had the thing with her dad or whatever? Yeah. Okay, yeah. And
he was talking to the imaginary ghost dad thing, which I still don't completely get for this whole thing.
Yeah, it was a little weird. Yeah.
Yeah, how that's just a thing throughout it, but talking about like sometimes you lie to people you love, blah blah blah, and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think this was the first episode where the whole like ghost dad thing or whatever kind of did work for me in a way though, because like. It kind of highlighted what ended up being the central theme of like the ending and the last choice of like what's more important, protecting the ones you love or the truth. And the fact that she has this perfect image of her father, but most of that is because he's not there to be imperfect for her now or whatever. And when she actually thinks about it, she's like, did you ever lie to me? And he's like, yeah, of course. It's like these type of things that like even that perfect image or whatever. Is it because it's a lie? Is it because the truth's being hid for you?
And then he said something like, "Well, my answer is this way because I'm in your imagination," or something to that effect.
And I thought that was interesting too. Like I feel like both of the other episodes, those segments were always a little off to me.
Actually, I just had a weird thought. Like it made me feel better with the ghost dad. That it's like that's pretty much the personification of her conscience, since. Like you just said, the dad to Chloe's perfect and the perfect person as far as being good and everything.
Yeah, and that she's kind of coming to grips with that's probably not completely accurate. That we're all no one's perfect. That I kind of wish that they had addressed some of these themes earlier with these segments. It probably would have made them hit a little harder, but whatever. It worked and it set up the ending decision pretty well, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay, so I want to save some time. We're over 30 minutes. I want to save some time. I want to have a good discussion about this ending.
Okay.
So you have the whole thing. She goes in there. Sarah's like tied up. You kind of learn. So basically, I mean, like James kind of was in on this and like orchestrated this to
pretty much hide Damon, like, yo, stay away, or like, go away.
Yeah, and like I guess they're like trying to get her back on drugs or whatever, just to make her look worse or something.
I think it's this kind like, yeah, kind of. She's been clean for a year or whatever it's been, and I don't think they really wanted to do the whole drug, or at least James didn't want to do the whole drug things. He just wanted her to go away in general.
Yeah,
but Damon, just kind of like, well, let's get you on drugs. That'll just settle this right here and now.
Yeah, which is messed up, very dark.
Yeah,
just it's. I mean, it's kind of analogous of the ending of Life is Strange, where it just takes a very dark turn. Okay, so obviously, then Frank comes in there, does that. You get knocked out. You wake up.
I was like, ooh, when Damon kicked Chloe in the head.
Oh yeah, I was like, jeez. Okay, this is where I was telling Jeff after I finished the game. I think leading up to the end here, I think. This was probably like the strongest episode of the 3, I think. And I still think overall it is. But there are a few things here at the end that like kind of bugged me, and like it started with this where like that whole happens, you get knocked out, you come back up and Sarah's there. That conversation with Sarah is great. I want to talk about that. But I'm a little disappointed that I'm like, oh, that's the end of Damon. It's like we didn't get to see any like you kind of like I don't like that we didn't see anything that happened there. You kind of just wake up and it's like, oh, he's gone. Like Chloe doesn't even ask about it really. It's just like, oh, well.
I think you have an option to ask.
You do, but I didn't. It just never came up.
Yeah. Like I asked, like this is more important. It'll probably come up like the whole Damon Franklin come later, and it just never did.
Yeah, I assumed it was gonna come up because like it would probably come up if I got knocked out.
Like, so where's Damon and Frank?
Yeah, so that was weird to me, and I'll get into the other weirdness. But first, how would you think about the Sarah conversation?
I liked it.
I think that was also, I've said this multiple times now, but also another one of the strongest moments of all of Life is Strange was that conversation with her. Mm-hmm. And you really get into the truth versus protecting the one you love, through that. And I think it worked really well with that. And it was interesting to see Sarah basically mimic a lot of the things that James was saying, even though James was literally trying to, get rid of her, basically.
Yeah. Ruin the life she kind of was trying to rebuild.
Yeah. And it was, it's interesting to see, like, she's the one that wants this, but she's like, no, we need to, it's best for Rachel if, we do all that. So, I mean, do you have anything to say about that conversation? If not, we can kind of talk about the decision.
I don't think I have any much more to say.
Okay.
It was a good conversation.
So, me and Jeff always choose, the same options for everything, but I am oh so glad that we actually chose opposite here. So, basically the two choices were, telling Rachel everything that happened with, Sarah and, James trying to get rid of Sarah, all this other stuff, or hiding the truth from her for that.
Also, important thing to note, at least when I played, it was 49 telling her and 51% not telling her. So it was
pretty close.
Yeah, for everyone, a split.
Yeah, which that's a sign of a good. That's a sign that you have people wrapped up in this decision that it's a split. Yeah, so I chose to tell her the truth, and Jeff chose not to tell her the truth.
Yes.
What was your thought process?
I'm going to be honest. This might not be the best reason to do it, but part of my thing was part of it is kind of what Sarah wanted for this, and just everything she been through, just kind of doing that. That was part of it, and then also kind of being right that in a way that might be better for Rachel. And I'm going to be perfectly honest, knowing her fate in the original Life is Strange played a part. It's I know she's going to die in a couple of years. Let's just make those years at least happy.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really think about it. I mean, I tried to...
That may not be the best way to think about it, but that's how I did.
Yeah, I tried for the most part to sometimes shove the Life is Strange out of it and just try to think about it there. And I completely, I understand that. I definitely was thinking about it when I was going there. I completely get not telling her because also, another consideration would be, if this was a real thing I'm talking about, Rachel was a very unstable person, and I'd be worried that she would react in a very catastrophic way to that kind of thing. So I can completely get that. My thought process was basically, I was like, Rachel, her entire life, everyone has just been shielding her from the truth. Like, her entire life has been just people trying to shelter her from the tragedies around her. And the fact that, like, because that was hidden from her, that's what made it so much worse when she heard about this entire thing in general. And I kind of just I was like, Chloe's the only person that she actually, like, really trusts and cares about or whatever. I'm like, even if it's hard, like, Chloe has to, like, Chloe can't just keep sheltering her and protecting her, because if she finds out about it, it would just be so much worse.
I agree. Honestly, if it wasn't for me thinking about Life is Strange, and may not be the best way to go about it, I probably would have told her.
Yeah. I just couldn't lie to her again after, like, all that stuff or whatever. And I was like, well, whatever happens, at least I told you the truth. And this comes to, like, my single biggest problem with this episode was, I chose to tell her, we got, like, a scene where, like, music's playing over it, and you tell her, and she gets, like, really mad, and she's, like, glaring at her dad, and, like, Chloe's holding her back and all this. Powerful scene, but then that's it. And that's pretty much all you get, and it just kind of goes to what I'm guessing everyone sees, this kind of, like, montage of them being happy, like, hanging out in the
see how other people fare based on your choices. Yeah,
and those type of things, which is fine, but, like, for how weighty that decision felt in the moment of making it, I do not feel like the impact of it was shown very well at all.
I think, obviously, something that was different from, a scene I got that's different from your choice was, it showed Chloe at the Amber's place eating dinner with them, and Chloe kind of looking uneasy about it all, knowing, like, this is all kind of a lie. This whole thing. But Rachel's happy, but...
Yeah, I just feel like it definitely felt like it ended abruptly. It kind of felt like that whole ending was kind of rushed, and that was the first time where I'm like, oh, this feels limited because it's a prequel. There at the end. I'm like, there's only so much they can do because they still have to set up for Life is Strange.
Yeah.
And it may, I mean, like, because maybe I'm forgetting things that are put in context in Life is Strange, but, like, because I chose for, like, Rachel knows the horrible thing her dad just did, so what happened with her dad? Like, was her dad...
I don't think her parents came up.
Yeah, like, were they separated? Because I feel like there's no way that she would be living under a roof and they'd be living together after hearing this information. I'm like, tell me these things. Like, I want to see the actual ramifications of it, but instead you just see Rachel having fun with Chloe all summer and stuff. And I'm like, what happened with the monumentous decision I just made? Like, what's happening with their family? And, like...
Here's something potentially, and I know it doesn't completely I know it definitely does not take away from your complaints, but there is something you can do. I think it's something when you talk to Sarah, some choices or dialogue you have to choose that, if you tell Rachel in the end, when you're at the, lighthousing on the bench, Sarah comes out and her and Rachel hug.
Yeah, I saw that it was like she can meet Sarah. Yeah, I didn't know how I would do that exactly. Yeah.
So that would explain, but I mean, I think, still your complaints stand, but that's something that if that happened, but obviously since you didn't get that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that would have been a nice bonus thing.
Yeah, you go with, so she's staying with Sarah, right?
Right. It was mostly just, I feel like it wouldn't have, like, they could have given me scenes about, like, is Rachel just living with her mom and, like, her, not real mom, but... growing up with mom and not her dad or whatever. Yeah,
because as far as we know, I'm forgetting her. Yep, I'm just gonna call her stepmom. Did not know
Rose.
Rose. Yeah, let's go that. Didn't know anything about James and Damon.
Yeah, I'm guessing. I mean, like, maybe she did, but that's what. Yeah, so
we have no reason to believe that.
Yeah, and I feel like her parents never came up in the original Life is Strange. I feel like I don't remember anything, so I don't think that would have broken the continuity or whatever if you had just given me what happened with James or what happened with her or whatever. And I feel like that would have helped me a lot. Because I just, for how, like, impactful all this was, I just feel like it kind of stuttered at the end there. Mm-hmm. But overall, it was still very, very, very good prequel. Love these characters. And it, like, I still stand by, I still think it makes Life is Strange better. Like, a lot, you know.
I'm trying to think of all the under-ending things.
Also, like, did I miss anything? Did they explain why a lot of those characters that aren't in Life is Strange are not in Life is Strange.
I'm trying to think which ones aren't. I know Drew and his family aren't.
Is Steph?
Steph, I don't think is.
Yeah, I don't think she is either. Or that girl who was like Nathan's love interest. She's not in it either, is she?
I don't believe so.
Yeah, so what happened to all these people?
At least with Drew and stuff. Well, this was a couple years. Drew was about to graduate anyway. Plus his football. Well, either way, no matter how the choices goes, Drew would have been gone, and Mikey would probably be gone as well. And at least in my story, apparently, his dad was able to get a place and get a job and stuff.
Yeah.
With that money, or whatever. So like, yay. Happy ending there. I like that family.
Yeah, they were really cool. I just assume ever since episode 1, I'm like, okay, there's all these characters that weren't in Life is Strange. There's going to be some reason why they're not. Like I thought that was going to be addressed more, but then it was just kind of like, It's just a question. I mean, I guess they always could have transferred, or they could be older than we think, and they graduated.
I think the main ones are like Steph, and Drew and Mikey. Obviously, I said, I probably Drew and his family would be gone, and I'm transferring and being older. It's a big school. You only see so many people. You just may not see those characters.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah,
the Nathan thing would be a little weirder though, because they seem to be together at the end of mine, and then that girl
not at mine.
Not okay, and then that girl is just not in Life is Strange at all, which is a little weird. But
Nathan got cooler. Who's above her?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, what am I saying? High school relationships last approximately 2 weeks anyway. So
2 years?
That was probably like long history, like
2 years, Darby.
yeah. That never happens.
Yeah.
So overall, Jeff, I'm sure it exceeded your expectations.
Oh, yeah.
It definitely exceeded mine.
I've been saying the whole time, this is a lot better than it had any right to be.
I agree. It's really, really good. Obviously, it makes me very excited for Life is Strange Season 2.
And Farewell.
And the Farewell episode, regardless of what form it takes, whether it's more of Arcadia Bay and these characters, or it's something completely different. I personally hope for something completely different.
I feel like it's got to be something completely different because, I have trouble remembering stuff. Correct me if I'm wrong. They ever said what the canon ending is? Because that influences things greatly.
I think there was a time where I think there was some interview where it's like they said there's no canon ending, but then they also kind of hinted that one of them was, and I think they hinted that Max and Chloe together was the canon ending.
Okay, then Arcadia Bay's gone.
Yeah. There is no Arcadia Bay
to
have. Yeah.
Now, I feel like it's got to be kind of separated from it because those choices are just so different.
They are, yeah.
That's pretty much I understand if they got a story to tell based on that, they feel really good, okay, I guess, but that's kind of, I don't mean this to sound so extreme, giving a middle finger to the people who made the other choice. They're so different. I mean,
that's always a struggle with these type of things, but it does kind of suck especially if you're invested in your choice, and it's just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of especially if that is the canon ending, where Max and Chloe are off together, what's next? That kind of seems like that's the end, but But I wouldn't be the most surprised if they try some way to do it, just because everyone already knows these characters. Ashley Birch with Chloe, it's a big name, all these other things. But I just hope that they go somewhere else. It can be set in the same universe, and maybe they talk about Arcadia Bay was wiped out or something, on the news or something. You can connect them in some way, but I hope it's new characters.
Or if the Chloe dying is canon ending, I don't know. Make it the same time frame, and then you have something in the news, just a little Easter egg.
Yeah.
About Chloe.
I would guess that it's going to be in the same universe. Just,
definitely.
Just different place and different characters, and someone else has time powers or something, and they're doing this. And
the time power is something that just goes from person to person.
Maybe they're in college. It's a college person now. Maybe.
Okay.
I don't know. We'll see. But whatever it is, I will be playing it. I'm sure Jeff will be playing it.
Yep. Farewell episode, Darby, in a month.
I'm excited.
We say farewell to these. Oh wait, yeah. There's the episode called Farewell. This would be the farewell to these characters.
I guess that's true. That should be a hint. That should probably be a hint.
This is the last time we get Max's and Chloe's original voice actresses.
Right.
So.
Be cool.
Yep.
It's kind of weird that Ashley Birch played the older Chloe and it's going to play the really young Chloe and then not in the middle Chloe.
Yeah.
It's whatever. All right, I'm gonna go get an ibuprofen and maybe take a nap because my head is splitting right now, and Jeff's gonna go do whatever Jeff's do.
I don't know what Jeff's doing.
Jeff will go find out what Jeff's
like I go to the Jeff convention.
Yeah, you should go hang out with all the other Jeffs. Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone, for my head's hurting so much. Thank you so much for watching. Check out our other things, Nerds at Large Gaming Podcast, every week on Mondays. Let's Plays on our YouTube channel. And check out our other Spoilercast.
And get ready for our thoughts for the farewell episode, in whatever form we do it in.
Whatever form.
We're going to be talking about it sometime.
Yeah. We should probably talk about Black Panther, too. If we should probably try to actually see that at some point.
I guess.
Apparently, it's pretty good.
Yeah, I've heard those things.
I have heard those things. Bye, everybody.